Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy, just Jeremy on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
Speaking of Discord, I heard they're going to make everyone change their code soon. Everyone has the hashtag 4 numbers. They're going to make you do 5 numbers now. Too many people on Discord, I guess. Oops. All right. Quick announcements today. Parker, you're down to 1,913 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've been here before, but who knows?
It's soon to be 1,912 episodes.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Why is that?
I made a stellar bet.
Oh, yeah. It's not over yet, right?
No, we don't know.
Didn't get...
No,
okay,
we don't
I was
know
like,
yet.
did they already get spoiled? Because
No.
you seem very giddy.
No,
right.
I'm just...
If I were you,
I
would be
I'm
like
just
in
so-
a state of tension.
I'm just so excited. This is the surest bet I've ever made, and I'm really... Every other one, I was pins and needles, but this one, very confident.
Yeah. So confident, in fact, you agreed to some staggering terms.
Yes.
So, did you consult John, your financial advisor, on this?
Nope, I didn't need to. I'm 100% confident that he's
You don't
going
call
for
when you
sure.
make sure bets.
Yeah.
You only call when there's some risk involved.
Exactly. There's
All
no
right,
risk.
so Parker bet that Cosmic Ghost Rider, Frank Castle of the Ghost Riding, is going to be a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He bet 2,000 episodes that he was right, and wagered it against one episode. Mm-hmm. That is, I believe someone can correct my math. That's a 2,000 to 1 bet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Best bet ever made.
Yeah. So, as one of Parker's previous punishments, I am allowed to increase the ratio of a bet by 4. So I'm going to just go ahead and utilize that. So we're going to make this an 8,000 to 1 bet.
Oh, I thought it doesn't make it 8,000 to 4?
No, that would increase the quantity of the bet.
Okay.
All right. So Parker has now bet 8,000 to 1 episodes that Cosmic Ghost Rider is going to be in Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear John's take on this.
All right,
I can hear the face slap through time and space.
Yeah.
Let me add something that's going to make you terrified, Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I feel it's possible the Cosmic Ghost Rider could be some sort of character that has a "if you're with me" affiliation. You are this.
Like a Dark Dimension kind of
Yeah.
leadership?
Mm,
And then you lose.
that's
Then
true.
Parker has to sell his house.
Because,
Please
he's
stop
going to
ta-
have to pay up. You can't
I
have...
was... Go ahead. I was so sure until you say that shit. You found a way. You found the chink in the
My
armor.
favorite is that he's going to be a rogue agent, so he won't be in any affiliations.
Ooh,
It's
that
actually
too.
my hope.
Because Punisher is a rogue. Oh, shit.
Punisher is still the only unaffiliated character, so it only stands to reason
Dude,
that
this is going to
Punisher
be amazing.
will also be unaffiliated.
I'm 100% sure he's going to be a Guardian.
You're a dead
So
man,
sure.
Parker.
I am 8,000. 800%. What was it? 8,000% sure.
8 million.
Yeah.
all
That's
I'll say.
how percentages work.
Yeah.
All right, Parker. Be honest. You there is a shadow of a doubt,
Mhm.
a minuscule decimal point after what Jeremy said.
Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that they do something that I could not have possibly anticipated, and like throw Rich in this.
But you're really, really sure. Like, are
I'm
you
really sure?
are you shaved head sure?
Ooh.
No, I'm only.
I'll tell you what, Parker. I'm gonna make you a standing offer.
Mhm.
We can replace the 8,000 episodes with a shaved head.
That's a really cool idea that I'm never going to do. I will run screaming from this.
Tell you what, Parker. I will increase the odds of the bet to 10 episodes, so it'd be 8,000 to 10, and then we can replace the 8,000 with shaved head.
I think we got him.
You could lose 10 times the amount of episodes.
Nope. I gotta stick to it.
Man,
My hair is.
he was
the
so
most-
Cowards.
sure, too. He was
Yeah.
so sure.
I was
Yeah,
really.
You heard it here
close
first, people. Not sure. He's gonna tattoo "not sure" on his arm. That's how not sure he
Yeah.
is.
with the barcode and everything.
All right, Parker. Since you refuse to make interesting bets, what's next?
News.
Hey,
So first off, we got an affiliation update, and man, oh man, was that first page of the affiliation list very busy. It's all about Squirrel Girl and Gwenpool. First off, they're both getting put in the A squads, so A-Force and Avengers will both have Gwenpool and Squirrel Girl in them.
Oh, thank God.
We are also going to see them in. Gwenpool specifically is in Criminals, which makes perfect sense because she was MODOK's minion there for a little while in the comics. So, Gwenpool and Squirrel Girl were both West Coast Avengers. I think at one. I don't know if Squirrel Girl was. I know Gwenpool was. And I don't know why they're in A-Force other than they are female. I don't know. There maybe had a cameo in the A-Force when it was in the Battle World. I don't remember if they were, but.
Yeah, because they had gotten away from that. Just every female coming out was in A-Force. In fact, there's a bunch of characters that got skipped.
Right. As far as I know, Gwenpool came out before that Crisis, but I don't remember if she's in any panel inside that original Battle World. And when they rebooted A-Force inside, the primary Marvel universe that's currently canon, I don't think she appears at all. So neither does Squirrel Girl that I remember. So they just decided to put them in there. You guys have ideas? I have ideas, but you guys have ideas?
Neither of those models are 6+ points, so I'm just uninterested.
No effect on the meta. I agree.
Yeah, it's not like in either of those affiliations we're hurting to get affiliated.
Right.
I guess was it Gwenpool in Criminals could be interesting, but that's about it.
She has a DR model in Criminals that moves herself before she has a token, but she can do cool things like if she was with Kingpin, she can give away the token to another model and then teleport. So she can do some interesting things.
She also might be fun with MODOK with wilds and shit.
Right. She does have some wild stuff.
Anyway,
yeah, I put one of them in one of I put I put Gwenpool in my A-Force list and Squirrel Girl in one of my Avengers lists, but I don't know if they ever go together. Maybe they do somewhere.
Well, they have a card that works together.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm lying. In my Avengers list, I think I put them both because I actually think Gwenpool and Squirrel Girl are okay with if you're doing Hulkbuster. Gwenpool, of course, has DR, so you're DRing twice from throws, and Squirrel Girl has rerolls on dodges, so you're rolling functionally 6 dice on a dodge plus the -1. It's really hard to kill both of them if there's Hulkbuster around with a throw. That's why I put them in Hulkbuster's list. Something to think about. Other news is we've got M'Baku and Claw have been announced. Rather, we knew of them from the big release,
the keynote
at Adepticon, but now we have another silhouette of them. We know they're coming soon. I think it's interesting. I'm really glad they went with the M'Baku from the MCU and not the Man-Ape M'Baku from the Marvel Comics because he looks really derpy. Definitely a sign of the times that he came from. He's basically
actually drawn as like some kind of man-ape.
Oh yeah, he is a. He looks kind of like a gorilla with a man's. Okay, so I could drop you a picture, but he is a white gorilla, like fur all over, except for his fingertips, his toes, which have like ape-like grip, and the where the gorilla's face is, the jaw opens up and his face is inside the jaw. It looks very like DC. Honestly, it looks like a DC character.
He looks like Gorilla Grodd but albino, but he's wearing a suit.
Yep, it looks very much like that. So yeah, he is. Although his origin is similar to the one in the movie, he's a tribal leader of another tribe in Wakanda, and he was given powers by based on like an ape spirit animal
instead of the panther.
Yeah. It's not as strong, obviously, as the Panther God. So, but he does rival Black Panther in his home country. He was a member of a Masters of Evil and a bunch of different like bad guys. He pops up as a recurring bad guy. I don't think he's ever been like the frenemy that you get in the Marvel movies. I don't think that was ever a thing. He's always just been kind of a foil for Black Panther. Claw is a D-list bad guy with insane amounts of power that At any moment, like any writer could say that he is insanely powerful, or just write him off as a guy who gets punked by Spider-Man backslap. But yeah, he's a creature. He's a person made entirely of sound that focuses it through that tool on his hand.
He's made of sound.
Yeah, Claw for the comic books is totally different than the Claw from.
Yeah, I knew that,
yeah.
but I didn't know he was made of sound. That's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
Yeah, he's literally like his body is composed of sound, basically. Yeah, yeah. He was he leapt into a vibranium sonic converter device that was just like meant to mess with matter and particles and stuff, and then turned into living sound. Yep.
So like Sandman is made of sand,
hmm
and he is made of sound.
And sand.
Nice.
Sand is in his vagina. Yeah. he is. Yeah, he is constantly just like foiled. But again, because he's made of sound, every time he gets like dispersed, he doesn't actually die, which is what we kind of see in the model. Is it looks like he's like one of his forms is kind of dissolving or dissipating, and another one's kind of coming up out of it. So my guess is he'll have some sort of regeneration like ability, or the ability to lose. Maybe you'll see something like the other Phantom character we have. I just can't think of her name right now. The Black Order character.
Ethereal from Supergiant.
Yeah, something like Ethereal maybe, because he is made of sound. So if you try to kill him, he doesn't just die. He doesn't have blood, for example, right? So
His name should have been Banshee. That would have been way cooler.
there's already one of those, and he is
I know,
probably
but-
incoming.
But that one is dumb.
Yeah.
All right, cool, I guess. Yeah, I have to repeatedly explain about Claw, because they're like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, it's Claw. And they're like, who's Claw? It's like, he's the guy in the movie that shoots the arm cannon. He's like, that doesn't look like... And the whole thing just starts all over again
Yeah.
every day.
Every day.
Every day someone goes, like, so who's that guy? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that good. Now, there you go. He's made of sound.
Yeah, it's funny that like literally one part of this box is just MCU, the other part of this box is just Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
It's kind of an anachronistic box.
I like that they just pick a lane, though. Like, you're getting one or the other. And
Right.
I think they usually pick the more popular of the two.
hmm
Like, when there's a reimagining that was really well taken, like M'Baku, they tend to go with that.
hmm
Cool. Alrighty. So, moving on, we have currently playing. Over the weekend, we had our first Las Vegas Open Invitational Series event, the Midwest Melee in Kansas City. We had 18 people for it, I believe. That sounds right. Yeah, 18 people. One of our local players, Quentin, won the event. He got the LVO spot, and I believe all three of you guys played in it while I ran it. We got some cool battle reports. Are there any fun things that happened during the event you guys like to chat about?
Yes,
Nice.
I'll go first. I ended up taking webs. I ended up bringing just kind of a fun list because I wasn't supposed to play in the event, then you made me. So
I forced you.
You got to. Why do you keep saying that?
Forced?
Like somebody like you got in a bear trap and you had to chew off your own leg.
I stood behind him with a very, very pointy stick and jabbed him repeatedly until he started playing.
You gained an
did.
opportunity.
So this was an opportunity to put models
There you
like
go.
OG Daredevil on the table. So up against Shield, and I send Daredevil like downtown to grab like his spider infected or something behind a building, so he couldn't like double tap me with his entire army. He had to walk around the building to shoot me. Ended up killing me turn 2, I think. Anyway, turn 3 starts. Maybe it's turn 2. Whatever. Turn after he kills me. I walk, and Parker, how many dice do you think I got to roll playing against Shield on Gamma?
Oh, I was there. You don't want to ask me. Because
I know
you
everyone
called-
was
you
there,
called
but
me
I'm
over.
play along. God damn it! Play along.
Parker
Okay.
will never do what you want him to do.
No.
He's just like a broken gear.
Technically
Doesn't
correct. The best kind
Okay.
of correct.
He caught the
Jeremy!
royal flush of
Yeah.
Marvel Crisis Protocol.
hmm
I did. So there were 5 Shield members within 2 of Daredevil when he started that attack action. For people who don't know, because you've never seen Daredevil on the table, it's a 5-cost spender with a base dice of 2. And he adds 2 to it for every non-dazed enemy character within 2 when he starts the attack action.
the Devil's Deliverance or whatever.
Yeah, so it doesn't go down as you daze people. So with 5 shield characters, including grunts, all sitting on his backgammon, I got to roll 12 dice 5 times. It was glorious. I think I dazed 3 models out of the 5. He then yeets Daredevil off the board with whatever 2 models are left, which is fine. Because the next turn, I get to go with Agent Venom, who all webbed up, beamed 4 of his models, and KO'd all 4 of them. So the combination of OG Daredevil and Agent Venom in those 2 turns was the most impressive amount of team firepower I've seen ever.
I will actually give a small correction to the story. One of my favorite parts of the story,
Okay, go ahead.
which is
Corrections.
which is after you bopped everybody with an epic Daredevil hallway scene where you just ate everyone with that single spender. He actually never attacked Daredevil again. I think he.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did.
He just sat. Daredevil just stood there for the rest of the game, and he was like, "I dare not attack Daredevil because if I ever give him exactly 5 power, I am super duper dead." And so, yeah. And then Venom came up, killed everyone, and Daredevil became less useful because Daredevil activated after Venom did his skadoosh, and so. When Daredevil went to activate, he's like, "Oh, I actually only have like 2 people to kill. I guess I'll try to hit these 2." It was.
I think at the end of turn 3, I had KO'd every model but Nick Fury, who was injured, which is pretty impressive to do against Shield. So
yeah.
Anyway, that was my my one glorious moment. The takeaway from that though is I actually think models like Daredevil have a home, and they're on ease when you just want to like go ham with webs. He probably still gets outclassed by 4s, but if you want to play Daredevil in webs. Obviously, put him in the right situations, but I don't think he is nearly as "quote-unquote" bad. People say, "Well, your opponent will just play around him." Like, okay, where are you going to go, right? If you're playing Researcher or Gamma, not a lot of places to put your models. So,
when you're talking about like actions converting into attacks, like, can you think of another model in the game that spins a long move? So it's long, right? I believe he's a wall crawler also. So he's going to spend a long move to get within range of, let's just say 3 characters, which is something you totally do on an E, and then spend his second action and 5 power to do that many attacks with that many dice. Like, that's a fantastic value. That's a great 4-coster activation. Like, name another 4-coster that's going to do that many attacks with that much dice from that far away.
The problem is without that, he's very lackluster. Without the getting multiple people lined up, and in the current meta, a lot of people are playing tall lists or spread out lists. Like, I actually the number of games where he doesn't actually get to do very much other than just brawl one person, I think is actually pretty high. But as Aaron was saying, playing him has a pivot because the rest of Web Warriors don't want to play stuff like demons. Right. But on a demons game, he's a great pivot to get out of the normal situation you'd be in.
Yeah. He is not I'm going to drop him every single time because he's a fantastic model. He is
God, no.
Look at this. Yeah. Look at what I can do with this model. Also, I actually disagree. I think you can get 4 models in Area 2 in a lot of games in the right scenario. Because Area 2 is a lot around a person. There are not that many attacks like that. We're not used to it. I'm not used to seeing Area 2. So even if I saw Daredevil on the field, he'd probably surprise me. That's another bit, which is just he's got that X factor of who sees Daredevil, who sets up to deal with Daredevil.
It was also spiders. So every one of his people that he had outside of the cluster got moved back into the cluster in the power phase. So like it was the magical Christmas combination of playing against a wide list with grunts on an E, where I got to move his models in the power phase. So I highly doubt I will ever get to roll 60 dice in one attack action again. That was just amazing. Anyway, that was my memorable takeaway.
I got to actually finally do the thing that you guys have been anticipating for a long time, which is play against a bunch of people who knew what special delivery did. And I can say that if you take a special delivery the card away, A-Force definitely still has game. One game, on your second round, I didn't get to play special delivery at all. Like, it never came up. But in the first game, my second turn, I looked at what my opponent was doing, and I was like, oh man, I am not going to get to play special delivery because they know what special delivery is. I won't be able to play it first turn. So how can I make special delivery useful? And after staring at it for about 4 minutes, I figured it out. But I think if I had not been playing A-Force as much as I have been playing them, I probably wouldn't see the thing I could do on turn 2, or the thing I might be needing to do on turn 2 that would make it useful. It's still a great tempo play on turn 2, but if you take away special delivery, it's kind of like Deception. If you take away special delivery, finding a place to use it later does become a lot harder. At the same time,
So,
isn't that awesome that you have a card like that strong that you just put down and your opponent goes, okay, I have to do something about that, or I could take a huge tempo loss.
so it's not about that, like, I mean, obviously the card is incredibly powerful. Like,
Mhm.
it's one of the strongest cards in the entire game. But on top of that, it's exactly the card she wants because her biggest weakness is getting into position
Right.
because she doesn't have proactive movement. And so, yeah, getting the equivalent of like 2 or 3 points of action economy plus the tempo, out of turn activation stuff, like it's so good. But yeah, that's the question. It's not like, is A-Force viable? It's like, well, what's the game even look like when you don't start up 4 to 8 points? Like, when you just start up 4 points, it's so easy to just gravy train, steamroll somebody.
Mhm.
And so it's just different. They certainly are very good into a lot of archetype lists, even without special delivery.
Right. I also found out that this kind of goes into another topic that we talk about. But I found out that my game against our champion Quentin, he was playing Web Warriors. I just never have played against Web Warriors, and I had planned to play A-Force into the LVO meta, which I did, and it went great. But I did not realize how much I had sold out for that LVO meta until I played against Web Warriors, and I had realized that I had a serious limitation, which was that style of play is something that I had completely designed my way out of the ability to counter. Not that I didn't have my any possibility of winning, but it was definitely uphill because of the options I'd given myself, selling out for the tall lists that I wanted to beat.
Cool. Jeremy, did you have any games that you were reflecting on?
I mean, the entire tournament to me was trying to see what I could do with Immortal Hulk, but yeah, the first game was cool. It was like basically big guys versus big guys, which was always a fun deal with those guys. But my entire thought for the weekend for the tournament was, if I jam Immortal Hulk and Malekith into as many places as possible, can that be as egregious as I imagine it? I would never want to play it, honestly, against me, because it's just so crazy. And the first game happened that it was as crazy as you imagine. Like, I one-shot Thanos off the board, and then everything went downhill for Ryan, and I won that game. Then the second game happened, and all of the karma for me mashing people with Immortal Hulk all came puking back at me at full steam. I didn't have priority. I couldn't get a hold of models that were long movers, and I got stuck because I only had a couple models. And when I needed to kill something, I couldn't, and I lost by kind of a lot, which felt kind of odd because most of the time I'm like, well, I should be able to kill a 3-point model if I charge it and do all the things. Well, sometimes you just don't, and they run away, and you don't have the power to back it up. So I kind of caught that one. It was a little off-putting. And then basically that happened again in the next game where Immortal Hulk went in. He did a smash thing, rolled a shitload of dice, and like no wilds, no throws. And it just was Immortal Hulk being like the worst version of Hulk. And I couldn't get on top of that game either. So it kind of got me back to okay, well, do I play standard MCP with Hulk in there? I'm kind of at a loss for what that's supposed to look like. But for bias of it just happening, I'm just kind of in a weird space right now with it.
Okay. On a similar note, I did not get to play in the tournament, but I got a game in yesterday with Immortal Hulk for the first time. I got to play against John, one of our locals. He was a great sport, but we flipped over priority. I won priority against X-Men / Hellfire Club, so I picked blues, and basically we pulled intrusions, which in my opinion basically forces him into Hellfire Club. and then we flipped 19 points, and so I played Malekith, Immortal Hulk, and MODOK, and I had the most incandescent hot dice I've had in recent memory. I killed Logan through exceptional healing on turn 2, and then KO'd him on the following turn. John put everything he had into Immortal Hulk, trying to kill him. I one-shotted Ghost Rider with one attack at the beginning or on round 1, I think. It just went so bad for him. And then we get to the turn where finally Immortal Hulk dazes, flips over, heals 10, sitting on 5. We're playing Spider Infected. MODOK fails to get advanced by the Spider Infected, standing next to him. Patches him up for 4. I activate Malekith. That's when he kills Logan. Triggers leadership. MODOK backs up and gains a power. And then Malekith ends his turn. Hulk heals to full, removes the Immortal token, and he's got just Emma and Ghost Rider left at that point on end of 3. And I have 0 damage on my entire list because just every attack he's tried has just failed, and it was super brutal. So I also just had the stretching the rubber band karma game that is about to hit me in the face. So I'm not looking forward to my next game on RNG. But Immortal Hulk is very scary when you get the plus dice. All right. Let's see. Moving on. Jeremy, on the topic of your Immortal Hulk experimentations, you wanted to talk about basically list concepts a little bit today. Do you want to explain basically your perspective on what your question was?
Sure. So with Immortal Hulk and Malekith existing, I've been playing a bunch of lists that are they don't necessarily, or they didn't always care about who comes with them. It was you take the model, jam it on the table, and then deal with whatever kind of piles around you, and then make your way out of it. So that list was working fine, but my thing was, okay, so that versus just playing some standard MCP. Taking some losses because I just didn't have enough models to move around, or, I rolled one bad set of dice of the 6 activation die I actually have throughout the game. I was just wondering, do you build a list to use your character in a group of models that also can score and help you win? Or do you take your tent model and you just make that a super killer with the rest of your models? Or is it an in-between thing? I just don't know. It seems like the viability of both, aside from R&D, I don't know. I'm just kind of at a weird spot.
So give me a more cleaner example of the 2 versions of the list you're referring to.
Sure.
It sounds like in one we're talking about Malekith and Cabal. That's the second option.
Yes.
Give me an example of the first option then.
The first option is Malekith, Immortal Hulk, and Bob. That list just doesn't care. And I guess the part I didn't mention is, do you even need a leadership with those models? I don't think you do. I think it doesn't even matter.
So a better example might be then, let's say Malekith and Cabal versus Hulk and Avengers. When you're trying to take one elite model and then just support them as well as you can, and versus doing I'm just selling out, I'm taking all the best models I can and just hoping for the best.
Maybe. I don't know. My thought this weekend was, and it almost worked, does Malekith and Immortal Hulk at 15, playing 14 points, does it matter that I don't have a leadership? Did it matter at all? It really didn't. It was just a random thing where I couldn't kill a model with, a million dice.
Yeah.
But it kind of made me sad in that, I can take 2 7-point models and just roll the table.
So basically, is your question then just, are their models so strong that they it doesn't matter how much synergy you have, they're just good regardless?
Sure. And is that better than anything else in the game? Is it truly better? Because
I definitely don't think Immortal Hulk and Malekith at 14 is better than everything in the game. But so
I don't know. I don't think that like one of the lists, like you said, your list you played had MODOK in it. I played exactly what you played, except I played Red Skull,
Yeah.
and it just shit all over like the team just
Yeah.
auto lost. Like it was a flush. Like it didn't matter that I had a leadership or not. It just
Mhm.
exploded on them, and like there was nothing that could be.
So, perfect example in the game, my game against John. It's like not only did I have what I consider to be 3 like S tier models because I've got Immortal Hulk, MODOK, Malekith. We're playing it on specifically the point total that is the most efficient for my power curve, and we're playing a mission that very much is conducive of the list I want to play, which is intrusions. So my opponent's going to struggle, even though we played an F as our extracts. My opponent's going to struggle to score more than 4 points a turn, which means I have at least until turn 4 to do serious damage to his list. We're playing a mission that forces him to be near me, and all of my models can just spread out and kill people, and there's really not anything else that's going to happen throughout the game. And so I think that's really bad for my opponent in that example. But let's say we end up instead playing Riots, and he's playing Web Warriors. Like, it's a very different game. And so I think those models are incredibly powerful when you get like a couple concessions, like specifically the missions. Like if the missions go for you, I think it should feel it's going to feel like an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you have opinions on this?
I really, well, we talked about this a little bit before. I think when you say I'm only going to do 4 actions a turn, like max, or maybe you put in Bob, so 6, but 2 of them are Bobs, so they're usually movement, or maybe they're shooting. It could be awesome if you get like a good rocket off, but let's say you're doing 4 actions a turn, and that is what you have. Those 4 actions must be amazing. So if you attach them to 7-point characters that do things like move themselves and throw when they do their actions and all that stuff, it does obviously increase their abilities. But if you compare those 4 actions to your opponent's list, and if they have 4 characters, now they have 8. They're literally double the number of actions, and the ability for them for you to eliminate that incredible variance that you're going to experience when it's 4 to 8, I don't imagine that it's not actually over time or over a tournament a weakness to take the 4 actions, premium as they may be, over the 8 actions, or if you're doing 5 point, 10 actions. I think 4 actions versus 10 actions, you're going to be able to mitigate problems on the board and deal with situations on the board so much better with 10 as opposed to 4, I think.
So the issue there is that almost assuredly the 4 actions is going to deny your opponent at least 2 actions, right? Because they're going to daze somebody, if not multiple people. And so now it's not really 4 versus 10, it's like 4 versus 6.
But if your opponent has anything to manage that, or if like what Jeremy said, one of those actions doesn't happen, you're not just losing one of your 4, you're giving your opponent back 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So like it's a terrible trade if one of your actions doesn't pan out. And you are right. That's the hope as a player. You're going, okay, I'm going to hope that one of my actions takes away 2 of my opponents. But if it ever doesn't, then you're at a huge disadvantage.
And then it snowballs because let's say you go in trying to kill someone like Black Cat, and then she staggers your other model. And so it's like now not only did you not knock them down to 8 actions, but you in fact lost like 25% of your actions. So yeah, like doing that war of economy is definitely going to hit a wall eventually sometime. But it's really when you're forced to basically stand in a phone booth with your opponent is when it's exacerbated to the point of it feels unfair.
Well, yeah, I can definitely see how, like you said, if you get some great dice, it starts rolling and it doesn't stop rolling. It's just all over you. And if you get a good scenario, it's another thing that's going to help them, because it's, if you get a scenario where everybody's just standing still in the middle, now all of your actions could be worth more than theirs, because if some of their actions they'd like to do are movement actions, movement doesn't help them, right? It doesn't help them actually win the game. They need to be doing combat actions, and you might be able to mitigate those combat actions with your great ones. I often look at the games. I look at a model in terms of how many things are they actually netting me in terms of actively, changing the board. And I personally could not play a model, a list that's only going to give me 4 opportunities to affect the board. barring like a throw or something like that, they might also have.
Hmm.
Not to say they can't win though.
I mean, I think
absolutely.
that the idea of not great dice is entirely different than just terrible dice. I think that
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, average dice, you're gone. Good dice, you're gone. Like, it has to be god awful bad dice. And I guess the real question is, like, with stuff like this, do you even need a leadership? Like, how far does it go?
Well, personally, I don't think it's ever worth playing 2 models. I think that's always a mistake.
Yeah. Sure.
But right. So going into the realm of like realism, I think
Yeah.
3 models can make a very efficient roster.
Sure.
Or squad, rather. When it's likely to do it, when you can sacrifice leadership, stuff like that. I've played 2 models down a point unaffiliated. Like, it can win games, but you have to know exactly why you're doing it, and it's got to be the right decision. And so sometimes, like, for example, I played against Perrin, he played Web Warriors, and I played Thanos Hulkbuster. And he just didn't have a way to kill any of my models because he was going, like, full board control. And the mission, I want to say, was, like, old alien ships, so I knew if I just got a hold of the extract, I could win the game. And that's what happened. Gwen found it on turn 1, she instantly died to Thanos, and then I got it, and he could never get it from me again. Because I just wouldn't let Miles steal it. And so it just, the game turned on its head because we're not really playing the real game anymore. We're playing this weird mini game because I'm just going so off the end on one strategy, and he's not able, he didn't bring anything to directly deal with that strategy. So is it competitive to like plan on sacrificing things like leadership and like stuff like that just to play a strong combination of models? I don't think so. I think that's more of like maybe sometimes in very rare occasions when like just the stars align and it makes sense. Like this point total on this mission against this opponent, yeah, you can get away with it. And it might be the right decision. But I think that's extremely rare. Aaron, do you have any thoughts on this topic?
Nothing positive to say.
Eliminate 7 and 6 point models.
You know where I stand.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I'll take 30 seconds to give our new listeners some thoughts.
Yeah.
How much agency did John have in your game, or Ryan in your game, Jeremy, Brandon? I'm guessing the answer is close to 0.
Close to 0.
Right? In what universe is that good for the enjoyment or competitive health of the game? The answer should be none. I will say that I think those interactions are increasing because the big 3, potentially big 4, now that iHulk's there, and by that we mean Thanos, Hulk, iHulk, and Malekith, are so dominant in the meta. If you try to play a game without a specific counter to those models, the chances that you're going to have a negative play experience are at least 50-50, if not greater. And there are certain games when you could flip over the scenario and probably just shake hands. I fucking hate it, right? So anyway, there's my 30-second spiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like, I know we've talked a lot about Malekith specifically. I don't know that Hulk in a vacuum is a problem. I think it's more that when it's combined with other tall models, it becomes more of a problem. I do think Malekith is still a problem. He's just too strong because he's got too many abilities and he's got too many tools. Applying that to specific scenarios, I think it's too strong. I think they need to come back and hit him again in some way. I think his crits should be probably limited, but whatever they decide to do, I think he's above the curve. But really, if you're not playing an E or like intrusion specifically, I really don't, or just a 3 secure. If you're not playing a 3 secure, I really think he's not that bad. He's still good. He's very good, but I think he's within like the curve a bit. But if you're playing on a 3 secure, he feels like an S+ model right now.
Sure. Well, which ones is he running all of those, right? So,
no, for sure. Like,
yeah.
and so that's the problem. Is it comes back to, so in my opinion, the way to fix this isn't to necessarily nerf him or change missions. It's to change the way priority works. Because I think that giving some models priority is too strong, or like the way we do mission selection.
Yep.
I haven't been a fan of it being totally random. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a dark road we're going down. I totally get that.
Well, it's your topic.
I wasn't going down that road, but
Yeah.
I guess it was a natural a natural place to go with it. Because I really don't like the idea of playing with, both of them. It was just an experiment. I just wanted to see. I didn't do it really on purpose. I did it because I was like, this is probably possible, and this is probably fucked up.
I definitely think the 2 7-point models have the highest potential for negative play experience. Between Hulk and Malekith, those two models can make any game go completely sideways, regardless of what your opponent tries to do.
Yeah.
Like, there is no direct answer. It is, did things work out for you based on RNG and random chance? And like say no, then it's like, well, then you probably lost the game. Because you left Hulk on 1, or he healed the full and lost the token, or he just hit all the wilds and you just had zero control over that situation. And then on the same side, Malekith just gets on a murder train and just keeps killing people in one attack. And it's just like you're waiting for the dice to cool off, and it just doesn't happen in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, as we're even with Thanos, like you kind of know how the game with Thanos is going to go. It's problematic and hard, but like there's things you can do to try to like win the game. Like obviously Helios Laser is a big part of that game. And so, like, there's things you can do against Thanos, but I don't know that there's any real thing you can do against Malekith other than just, like, get shit to go your way.
No, I think if you have a couple protectors at key moments, like, if you're playing a Malekith and somebody puts down a Koye, you just immediately go, oh, god damn it. Like, it's not a full stop, but it feels like it's close, because his rhythm gets interrupted pretty quick if you just get one good protector off.
You do have to have like a serious threat level model to also take him out, though. Like,
yeah, but that's the idea, right? You just have to have somebody who can. I mean, if you have like Punisher, might be able to do it. Like, you might just kill him.
You can kill him with small models.
Malekith.
Like I killed Malekith with X-Men like when I was playing him 2 weeks ago or something.
Mm.
So. Again, my earlier comments were unless you tech into them. But if you bring the models to do what Parker's saying, you bring in Okoye, you bring Escort to safety, you bring Nick Fury as a splash eye in the sky, bring multiple stagger bots, right? You can bring models in your list to counter some meta threats, and they're not as game ending as my initial comments were. My issue with the game right now is, let's say I want to play webs. I've got, let's call it 4 key models in the affiliation I have to take, right? Like Gwen, Miles, etc. Then if I have like 3 to 4 models I have to take to counter some of these threats, how much exploration do I get to do with the affiliation? Do I get to experiment with OG Daredevil? No, he doesn't make the cut when 40% of your list is dedicated to countering a threat that you auto lose to if you don't have the counter in your list. That's my issue with the game. It's not that they're uncounterable, necessarily. They're still NPEs. But it's that I don't want to bring the counters in every fucking list, because that diminishes my enjoyment of exploration.
Yeah. I think you have to go too deep to counter them, for sure. And like, I guess by them, are we really just talking Malekith? I don't know. Is there a counter to the Hulks?
I actually think Hulk is a bigger problem than Hulk. Even if he's not quote unquote better, I don't think the meta I don't think he's being used yet in the way he will be in the future. And I think he's Malekith level problematic. Here's why. So Malekith kills someone, but is imminently killable back. Right?
Yeah.
You throw a Hulk in the middle of my army, I'm like, what the hell do I do? Like, unless I have a tech counter, right? If I have Ghost Rider, I'll pen it, stay your ass off the board. Right? If I have Judgment, that can work. Like, there is counters, but unless you bring that in your list, unless you're specifically bringing a model or something to tech into iHulk, what are you going to do? I had a game against Jeremy where I threw every single fucking attack into iHulk, and I almost put him on his backside, but it wouldn't have mattered. He still was just going to out-scenario me, but the rest of his models doing whatever the fuck they wanted, because I had to focus iHulk down. I probably played against iHulk in 80% of my games this past week and a half. And there are times when I just focus everyone but iHulk. And at that point, it's just like, well, if Hulk gets a bunch of wilds, I just die, because I can't mitigate him. And I've taken Black Cat, and I've staggered, and I've pulled him off points, and it's not like I'm completely ignoring him. I'm trying to mitigate what he can do to me.
Has anyone tried playing Hulkbusters against him?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'm
That's
not
my next-
specifically teching into it. I'm still on my exploration.
That's my
Right,
next.
right.
That's my
Yeah.
next idea.
Yeah. I feel like the Sam spam list with Hulkbuster and it might be a fun try. Anyway, yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said there. That it's problematic. I don't know what you're supposed to do to kill Hulk 2 though. Like I just don't know because I haven't had the practice. I haven't seen games where I think Ghost Rider's a good choice, but honestly, Ghost Rider and Hulkbuster are the only two models I can even think of that have like a strong matchup into them.
I think one of the best tools to get him right now is another Hulk and also Root. If you can fucking huck him medium and he's rooted, there's not much he can do because he can't auto get power. Like he gets 3, but that's not enough. It takes 6 power for him to do his shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just hard because you have to catch him before he hits the train of power, right? Where he just starts doing builders repeatedly. Because he's going to come into you the first time. If he just like spikes 5 damage, it's like, okay, well now you're dealing with this guy who's going to have like 8 or 10 power next time he activates. So it's just like, what now?
I think the actual best list into him might be MODOK Criminals.
MODOK Criminals on a D, that's actually a huge problem.
On anything.
Yeah.
I don't care. So I can kill Hulk. I can kill Malekith. That's fine. The problem is, obviously, Immortal Hulk is immortal and doesn't fucking die. What if I had this card that says, no, fuck your priority. I'm going to take it. And now I kill you.
That's really it. You just got to get the priority away.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. I think they need some equivalent of All According to Plan as a generic card. I think that would honestly go a long way towards fixing this tall list problem. So like, what do you like? Immortal Hulk's perfect example. It's like, okay, he's dazed. I'm going to like I've said all kinds of examples where things that cost like place an activated token on one of your models to play this card. Like you give up an activation to steal priority.
It's called Follow Me.
Yeah, that doesn't work when Hulk activates first. I don't know if you knew that.
What do you mean?
You have to be within one activation for Follow Me to steal priority on the following turn.
No. On the turn Hulk goes, I have to play Follow Me to reduce my model count to be able to go first next turn.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying though.
Oh, okay.
So at the point you would play Follow Me, it's already too late. They've already activated and removed all their damage, right? Like you can't jump them as the first activation. You're saying on the previous turn you have to play Follow Me to steal priority for the turn that he undazes?
The turn that I kill him,
okay,
I need to play Follow Me to...
But he might have, like, you have no control over if he's like, or if you're going to out activate them or not right then.
You're correct. It's
you
one model less. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be basically tied on activations for that to work.
It is not an outright stealing of priority, but it could work to give you priority.
Anyway, and that's just another RNG thing. I wouldn't want to try that because you're burning a restricted slot and 6 power just to potentially steal priority.
I know we like to vacillate onto the problem, right? But I think because we all agree there is a problem there with like negative play experiences and stuff. Negative play experiences stick in my mind. But I think Jeremy's question, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, was, is it viable? Is it a viable competitive strategy to go super duper tall? And, I said no. Is it a viable competitive strategy? I want to win a 6-round tournament, a major event. Is it a viable competitive strategy to drop? And Brandon, you said no, not 2 models, but it's 3 models. Is a viable competitive strategy?
Planning on playing 3 models is definitely a competitive strategy.
Concur.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, I would even say it's my play style. Like playing 3 models almost guarantees that you have priority. It's exactly enough activations to get stuff down on the board and not be completely out of scenario options. And at a lot of point totals, you can actually only be slightly outnumbered. I think three characters on the right scenarios is the strongest number of characters.
That is fascinating. I have never once done 3 characters. I just can't even imagine. I cannot imagine having that.
There's lots of games
options.
where I'll have 4, and I wished I had 3.
Right.
Because when you have 4, a lot of games, tie a lot. And
there's a ton of games I've lost because, like, if I only have just played 3 models, I would have won this game. Like, it's automatically. Like, because I just lost priority once, or my opponent also had 4 models, I just never got priority from them, and I just couldn't make the plays I needed to make. Like 100%, I think 3 models is potentially the strongest. And I don't even think that's in question. I think a lot of people competitively think that. The only exception is when you put enough points on the table to where we can start ending the game on turns 3 and 4, then it's worth increasing the number, but still only based on what your opponent's playing.
So, if you wanted to run that list, I think you run Cabal Suns, because you're going to take the 2 best high point models, which if you're running low model count is probably Malekith the Hulk, or I-Hulk rather. But you can only play 18 in Midnight Suns with those 2, but swap the Cabal and play whatever you want with other beaters like you did with MODOK or Red Skull 2. I don't know. I think that's got game.
It does,
Yeah.
and I mean that's what I did.
Yeah.
I was just trying to see how far I could push it. Like, did it matter?
I do.
I think 3. I think 3 models is the key.
Yeah, I think you have to have 3. But also, like coming back to, I think the original concept was, at what point do you stop sacrificing synergy for tallness, right? Because that's basically the question.
Yeah.
What's the balance of synergy and tall? And I think
that's
the
right.
answer is you're going as tall as you can without ripping the studs out of the walls. If that makes sense. It's like we'll tear down the drywall, we'll rip out the windows, we'll rip out the floor, but like we still need something to hold the roof up. Basically, like you need a leadership. You need something to pull these models together. But other than that, like a lot of the really powerful 3 character lists are powerful because they are also affiliated. Like it's like the Malekith MODOK like Red Skull plan at 17 is powerful because they're all affiliated. And it's through no fault of any planning. They just happen to be, and there's cards that help them. If we were to just replace MODOK and Red Skull with Ghost Rider and Strange, like, despite those 3 models might also be good together, they're not synergistic in any way. You lose all your types cards, you lose your leadership. Like, Malekith's leadership is one of the strongest things about him, in my opinion. Out of activation, movement, healing, and power gain is insanely good. And it literally triggers, I can't remember a time, every model on my list hasn't triggered leadership when I play Malekith. It's always, everyone gets it, every single round. Except for the first turn, obviously.
Sure. I could see playing Midnight Suns with Malekith Hulk and another Midnight Sun to get access to Siege and Bats and leave Blade at home.
Right. I could also see that, but that's because he's a 4-point leader. That is, he's good, but he's like situationally good. He's not just like always amazing. He's not like, Sabretooth, right? Like he's not always going to get his shit done. Sometimes he's got bad matchups, or sometimes he can't stand in the right spot because of missions or whatever. But yeah, Magneto's another good example. It's like Magneto, probably Sabretooth, and then fill in your best character in your last point slot. And that's always a good list. It's like, oh, we're doing 17, cool. Doing Malekith, Magneto, and Sabretooth. And you're like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. You're like, it's just a murder train. It's like, what are you supposed to do about it? But it's not just because I have these 3 models. It's because I've got Magnetic Refraction and potentially Asteroid M and Magneto leadership for extra power, like all this other stuff too.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. It's like ostensibly, if you just look at the models, you were just looking at cards, then an unaffiliated list with 3 really good models would be good enough. The problem is your opponent is playing with their list, and they do have their fantastic tactics, so you're just losing that advantage that they have. I think it's not because some people look at it in a vacuum and they go, oh man, these 3 models would be just good enough. They're all 3 of them are just good enough. And you go, yes, but could these 3 models be as good as your opponent's 5 models with all of the other things that they are doing passively because they because they took an affiliated list? And that's when I think it starts to go upside down.
I think it's not a bad idea to look at a roster construction as I want to play these 4 models together as often as possible, and then figure out what they're affiliated with and try and play that affiliation. Like, what is the best combination of affiliation? But at the same time, I'm not going to sacrifice my synergy to play like Inhumans for leadership. Like, I like the Inhuman leadership, but it's not like I'm not going to make noticeable sacrifices to play it. So like there is a happy spot in there, but currently a lot of the tall lists play that style for an exact reason. Like even the Avengers list, like they're playing it because their leadership's synergized with Hulk really well.
I thought it was a fun exercise to think of it a little bit differently, which is, what if my leadership was I got to make skulls into crits?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, shit, man, I'd take that leadership in a heartbeat.
If you could play on everybody, that'd be really good. But
just
obviously, adding a leadership on top of that is also good.
Yeah.
There's definitely some leaders that feel worth it, and some leaders that don't.
Yeah.
And when one of your tall models is already a leader, it just feels obvious. Basically, at this point, every good model that comes out in Cabal is going to be just put into that 3 model list.
Sure.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that Jeremy and I were talking about at the tournament, is when you're trying to trim all the fat off a list and you're trying to, bring it to that next level of competitiveness, the ability for your leader to contribute in a meaningful way and count on that every game is such a huge deal, because then you get that all the passive benefits of being in an affiliation and the leadership and all that stuff, and you get that on top of a model that's going to contribute its points. We've talked about a lot of we've talked over and over again about models that are absolutely worth their points plus, and then they have a good leadership. But all of those are super strong. Storms, Malekith, all of those models out there just feel so good.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy playing leaders that get stuff done, which is why I play like Magneto and Malekith and like even Strucker, honestly, because Strucker, while isn't a work piece really, he likes to mix it up and he's always involved.
Oh,
and so
if you stick the Strucker's like stats and attacks next to other 3-pointers, he's
right?
a monster. Yeah, he's a monster.
So good.
Yeah, his stats and attacks just as a 3-pointer are worth it, and then he has some cool abilities on top.
Yeah. So currently, what I've been playing is that Malekith Cabal Strucker Hydra like combination I call Highball, and it's funny because I play a weird combination of missions, because like I've got some missions that Strucker likes, I've got some missions that Malekith likes, and I'm not really afraid to play anything because my opponent probably has no fucking idea what I'm going to do, because it can go either direction really hard. It's like we can do a spread out grindy game, or I can do a run down the middle game. It's really fun. Anyway, Jeremy, do you think we accomplished this topic? Do you have anything else you want to talk about for this?
No, it's just a thought exercise.
Okay.
I think we're good.
I was a little lost when we first started talking about this. I didn't really understand your question at first. I think we finally got there towards the end, though.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Cool. So moving on. Next up, we have... we're going to start a new segment starting today that will be reoccurring. We won't do it every week, but we'll try and do it a lot in the near future. And then we'll add in as we believe there's more content for it. This is going to be called the pregame. We were called pregame because we like tailgates. So we're going to pregame this. The first topic we're going to do is something we're kind of calling safe extractions. It's just a basic intro level to some aspects of the game that a lot of people need to know about. Most people are going to know about this. This is one of the more basic ones. But in a nutshell, this is basically just planning in advance to be able to get a extract and get away without getting murdered. With people like Gwen or Mystique running around, where you can easily get drug into your opponent's army, or like Thanos specifically, where you get kidnapped. And it's like, you don't want to walk up to the middle, grab an extract just to get dazed and give it to your opponent. Like, that's always a bad idea. So, safe extractions are really important to have in your list, especially on odd-numbered extracts. Aaron, do you want to go through some of your populars? Actually, let's do this. Let's go around the table one at a time. We'll each say one of the safe extracts we like to play with. And we'll just keep going until we run out. I know what Aaron's is.
You want me to go first?
He's a robot horse.
He is, yes. So eyes on the prize, and any medium base, medium move with 2 power. Turns out you want to do that for as little threat investment as possible, which means you have, I believe, 2 options? 2 options.
I think there's more than 2, but it's not a lot.
Nope. There's only 2 that you can do for
Hela and
for
Beta Ray,
4
right?
points.
Yeah, for 4 threat. So
For
Hela
4 points.
and Beta Ray Bill.
And just explain for people at home, the reason for that is that they're a medium that gets 2 power.
Correct. That enables them to be within range 2 of a centerline extract that they are directly across from or very slightly offset from. So they can pick up the center line and then move again. So it is, I think, critical to have that ability in your squad. Because when you're facing a Malekith or a Hulk or a Thanos, and you're playing with, a centerline extract, you have two options. You can either grab it and come back, you can grab it and sit there, or you can let your opponent have it. Of the three of those, 2 and 3 are by far the worst options. So if you can have one in your squad, you do it. And Bill is the easiest thing that you can slot into any list. And he's not a bad character once you're done with the
I was going to say,
stealing.
doesn't hurt that he's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Parker, you're up.
Are we talking about generic ones or specific ones, or anything in between?
A specific. So, like, if you're just going to say, it's like, I use this ability, but specific example.
Okay. One of my favorite ones are anybody who places themselves within 2 and with Steve, because all the place within 2 abilities in the game cost 2, or most of them do, and then Steve lets you discount that to 1, and so if that character also gets 2 power on turn 1, they can take it. So notable examples are Cable, any of the Hulks, and a couple random 4-pointers like I'm just blanking on her name. It makes me really
Medusa?
No, the previous sorcerer's.
Oh,
Ancient One.
Ancient One, yeah, Ancient One can.
Ah.
Yeah, so Ancient One has a medium move, and she can move medium, place 2. She has 2 power on turn 1, and so she can get it. So there's a couple characters in the game that are like that, with specifically Steve. So anybody in the game, if they ever print a character that can move themselves for 2 and they get 2 power or more, then Steve can help them do that on turn 1 without any help.
So anyone has the range 2 place plus medium plus 2 power. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And
that's definitely an elite crowd, just like Aaron said. His was a pretty elite crowd as well.
Right.
All right, Jeremy, you're up.
So when we say safe, we're saying safe against being attacked and safe against
safer than normal, I think, is what we're going with right now.
So Mystique,
there's definitely a range here.
Okay. So this one is weak to Mystique, but it's one of the easiest things that anyone can drop in, which is Toad. Toad can simply move up, interact, grab something, and be standing kind of far.
He grabs at range 2 for people at home that don't know.
And that's pretty far. Most of the time, it's going to be a range attack that attacks him. And most of the time, I would say upward 90%, models cannot one-shot him. And he will simply leap backwards, or he moves backwards because of his ability. So that's a good one.
My favorite thing to do with Toad in Brotherhood specifically is I'll put the Magneto construct. I'll deploy Magneto just off of an objective, like straight back, and I'll drop the obstruction as far forward as possible. And Toad can actually kind of curl up against it and get cover and pick up the objective. And so that way, from anything other than a very specific angle, he's got cover. So they basically have to do 6 damage to him. Yeah. And then that's very hard to do 6 plus his blocks, and then he just runs away if you fail. So yeah, same vein right there. That was actually going to be my pick.
Yeah, it's a nice. It's only a 2-point investment. It takes no tactics cards.
Exactly.
It's super efficient.
I don't like investing a lot in these turn 1 plays. I'm very against it, and because of that, I was going to pick Toad.
Yeah,
because he's so free, right? He's just a good 2-pointer on his own, and then also extracts. Next up, I'll go. I'll just pick the obvious one. Amazing Spider-Man. Any model that has speed long plus a medium base can pick up an abstract on the center line that they deploy directly behind, and then still have an action left to move. Be careful. I believe it's just Senators currently that says you can not move after you pick, or you can only move once per turn, and so he can't move back if he picks up a Senator. So be careful of that. But he can run away.
Okay, I will give a shout out to the Shield Agents next from Nick Fury. So what they're going to do is they're going to pick that up. They're going to sit there, but when your opponent kills them, unless they have displacement, they're going to send it back toward your line to make it more difficult for your opponent to then pick up. There is counterplay around this that we won't get into right now unless you want to, but they do give you something better than a good model sitting there taking on the chin.
I like that one a lot too. Bonus points. It also allows you to pick up multiple extracts in one activation. Parker, you're up.
I'm going to go with a lot of people's premier extract taker, which is Angela. Premier because she has 2 power and the long move medium base, which lets her do some funny things like she can take 2 points off the center line if you want to do like an L formation, and if they're not deploying on that side, it does leave her on the center line, but she can pick up 2 if you somehow get to. That would be letting your opponent would let you do that. However, because she has the speed long, she can go up to the middle, grab something, and go backwards. She's also has the only model in the game that can also add in Eyes on the Prize for that, specifically for Paranoia Pummel's Populace. She can, if she deploys directly across from their
You mean
what
scroll?
do they call it? Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you,
sorry.
mean scrolls.
No, I'm sorry, not Paranoia, because that's the K. Scroll is what I'm talking about. Yes. So scroll is the one that you can, because there is one scroll that deploys on their side of the board, but she can actually place Eye as the Prize, move all the way forward to pick up their scroll, even if it makes her move. If she fails, she does roll 4 dice, and she has to fail on those 4. But even if she does fail, she can then move along after that, so she can be back across the center line. So one of the only model in the game that can take your opponents and then also move on the same activation back long.
We'll see about that.
To see about that because
No reason. All right, Jeremy, you're up.
Are we using leaderships for this conversation?
Yes.
Or we
Any
We have to
safe
now.
extraction.
Okay. I'll give
Parker's
you a
already
brand.
been doing it.
I'll give you a brand new one out the box. This is Immortal Hulk. Mortal Hulk can move up twice, grab 1, and then use his card and place himself back 2, which is very, very far back.
That's not leadership, but
No, but
Thumbs up.
if we're going to use tactics cards and stuff, sure.
yeah.
Eye on the Prize. So that's a brand new one. Be wary of
Mhm.
that, because then God help you to try and get that from him, aside from a steal.
So then next up, I've got this is a leadership based one. Juggernaut with either Brotherhood leader can advance, then do his slide. And if he's with Magneto, you have to slide and break any piece of terrain to give him an extra power. Then he can pick up the extract after the slide and walk backwards. And then with Mystique, he refunds his power, so you just double advance, pick up the extract, and then slide backwards. So that's another one of my favorites. Juggernaut is one of the safest grabbers on the first turn.
Okay, I'll go with one I've never used, but is on my list. This is Cat and Mouse.
No, I argued for so long this card was playable.
So, for those people who don't know what this is, you have to be playing an X-Force first of all. After you've done that, you're allowed to place a character within 2 at the beginning of the game for free. Cannot make more than 1 move action during its next activation. So you're going to obviously play this with Cable, so you can walk forward, grab the extract, and then place back because he has that ability.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
how is he placing backwards? He doesn't.
How's he placing back?
No,
Yeah.
he has to spend 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not that one. Don't do that.
That doesn't
Okay,
work.
don't do that one.
That's why you
Um,
haven't done it.
Oh no, you walk.
Strong. No, you
Yeah.
get to shoot, and if you
Yeah.
get power, then you back up.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't do it as your first activation. I actually thought you meant the card Cat and the Spider, not Cat and Mouse. And Cat and the Spider, I believe, actually lets you do extract stuff. But anyway,
It does, but not
not directly.
get back. It's not a good
Yeah.
turn 1 play. Anyway.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
You can get back with it because you use amazing.
Yeah, because it's
use
not
am-
during anyone's activation, so
Right.
you just activate her then.
Right. So the idea is you use Black Cat. You do 1 movement to move within range of Spider-Man, directly in front of Spider-Man. Then Spider-Man hucks her. She lands on one of the center extracts. She picks it up immediately, which she does
For
for
free.
free.
Yeah.
And then she moves directly backwards. So
And
that
she moves
that card
long
does
backwards,
allow
yeah.
you to do it.
It's
That
a
was gonna be-
horrible use of Black Cat, but okay.
That's an
yes.
opinion.
It is an opinion.
It's
Anyway,
safe.
yeah. All right, Parker, yours was Cat and the Spider, Cat and the Spider. Jeremy,
Basically any version of X-Men.
God damn it, that was mine. Stop taking mine.
Move up, leap, move up, grab it, move back, whatever. Like it's any version of a respectable X-Men leap. Just remember
talking
you
about
can't leap when you're holding extracts.
For those listeners who are not sure, when we mean leap, we mean Storm's leadership to hop
Yeah.
over another character.
Yep. Yeah, that's a very popular one, heavily utilized in X-Men. So for me, I'm going to do a more specific version of what Aaron said first. Eye on the prize, but I'm going to specifically say with basically the 5-pointers. So again, medium base, medium move, but you have to have 3 power on this one, and it's primarily to get hammers. So if you have priority, you'll deploy directly behind one of the side hammers. You'll play Eye on the Prize, and then advance, pick up the point on the center line, then move back to your back point on the D, pick up that one as well. This is mainly useful for Strange 2 and Red Skull 2, who both of them are really strong when they have 2 hammers, and it's a very popular and powerful effect. It is theoretically a safe play, but it's primarily just get 2 hammers.
Can I since you mentioned like just mediums to get 3, there is the one I've used before is also Ronin. Ronin with the Power Stone can do it.
Yes, Ronin can also do it with Power Stone.
And Thanos.
Unfortunately,
Thanos,
wait,
yes.
how does that work? When does he drop the hammers?
After he actually dazes. So when he gets to do his
So
revenge
if you
swings-
daze him, he actually moves and hits you with the 2 hammers
Yes.
before he actually... That's hilarious.
It is. It is.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
man.
It is really fun. I have used it before, and it did not nothing. It was.
And
it was
he's
cool.
got a hammer.
Right.
2 hammers.
He's
He's
got 1.
He
But then
tapes
he's
them-
got 2 more.
Right.
He's
he tapes
taped
them
2 hammers to his
his
hammer.
Yeah.
And he's going to hammer tie you.
Yeah.
That's 3... It's like a tri-hammer.
Mhm.
Anyway.
He's made a gun out of many guns.
Many guns.
They taped them all together.
The biggest gun I've ever seen. Anyway. Whose turn is it? We did
My turn.
Yeah, that's right.
I am going to choose Kingpin. Kingpin has 2 parts to his leadership. The second part lets someone pass off an extract within range 3. If you have, for 2 cost, Juggernaut can move, slide, pick up the extract, and then shoot it back to a medium base or larger deployed directly across from that extract.
And by slide, you mean double move.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it costs 3, yeah. So he double moves
Yeah.
and sends it back.
So the objective will be safe. Juggernaut necessarily no, but
Correct. If you care, yeah, great. Hit my Juggernaut without an objective. I don't care.
yeah, no, it's I definitely agree. That's a safe play, especially like for some people that have the ability to like move really far and steal. Like I know one thing we'll talk about later is like the Black Cat in Inhumans play is really annoying to play against. Anyway, Parker, you are up.
I was actually going to go with Shadowlands Daredevil. It's not very common for people to do this, but I really enjoyed using his Hand Ninja because it is a medium base. You can do something similar. If you have a large enough base behind the medium base, he can immediately move up, pick up the extract for free, then vaporize himself to pass it off to a large base model behind him.
But that's not a center line.
I thought that worked on a center line.
They cannot get to the center line.
Oh,
You have to double move them to
I-
get to the center
I
line.
believe
That's
you
right.
can pick up bees, but there's no bee extracts. So
It was. I must have just been using it on a D scenario then, but again, that's
Yeah,
all.
it
that's
works
all
on
way
the back points.
On back point, so that it does save a power
Oh.
for somebody who wants to do some other gobbling stuff.
it works on Fs, just not on the center line F.
Right. That's right. That's what I've used it on. I've used it on Fs because then it also allows that model that you pass it to not have to use their power, so then they can do something else with it. So it's not it's setting up a play for somebody else to do later in the first turn.
Yeah. Jeremy, you got another one for us?
I'm gonna pass.
Strong pass. We're getting pretty thin here. This is a little niche. It does not work against people with control effects on the first turn. But a fun thing you can do in Steve Rogers' Avengers is take Gwen. You deploy Gwen directly opposite one of the center line extracts, and then you just take anybody, walk them up and pick it up, and just stand there. If they attack you, you can Lifesaver on the first turn with 1 power with Steve, and she just yanks them back, which is really fun. And then, once you've gotten them with that, then she walks up and shoots the person that tried to attack them, and then you can Lifesaver them again, which is really fun. And so that's one where you can get people sometimes because they won't realize that that's within range 4. and it is like exactly range 4 if you deploy it correctly. So do practice it, but it's really fun.
I concur
Aaron,
with
you
that, but it's
You
not
got
safe.
It is not foolproof,
Right.
but if they don't have turn 1 controls without
Yeah.
attacking you, so a lot of people don't. Like most people can't walk up and bow you outside of like Loki or somebody.
Well, there was a swath of games where I played into Thanos and Mystique all the damn time. So
Yeah,
mine
No,
are
Mystique,
meant to be
yeah.
like Thanos Mystique safe plays.
correct. But this is stuff that you definitely need to know.
Oh yeah, that
Because
is a
playing
great
against
play.
it is also something. Yeah, because if you just don't realize that's a play, you'll walk right into it and you'll lose you a game.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with Avengers and Steve. This time we're going to play Avengers Assemble. And Thor, Hulk, Hulkbuster, Cable, and Iron Fist can all take advantage of Avengers Assemble to move, assemble, grab, and back up.
The important thing here, I would actually argue, is that if you're going to bother doing it, you're threatening picking up multiples with safety. So let's say it's a Legacy Cure and you have priority. You Avengers Assemble, move 2 of these people up, if not all 3, and then go grab one back up. Your opponent takes one, then you get the other one safely as well. And so that would be the advantage of doing something like that, is you're actually stealing 2.
And I might do that against like a Thanos, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're probably burning Avengers Assemble for the wrong reason. But it's out there as an available play.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't ever do that unless it was like an auto loss scenario without it.
It's funny, a lot of the characters you just mentioned, because of Steve specifically, they already get to walk up and grab it anyway because they have movement stuff. So it's not necessary unless, like you just said, you want to do a whole bunch of them. You want to enable that.
Yeah, and sometimes your opponent won't be willing, like let's say you're playing Thanos, like they won't be willing to walk up against you either. So like sometimes if they don't have a safe steal, then they'll be in the same boat and they're like, I'm just not going to go to the middle because it's not worth getting Deception or Cosmic Portal or whatever. Parker, do you got another one?
I think I'm tapped out. I stared at it for a while.
Jeremy, do you continue to pass?
Pass.
Jeremy's in the passing lane. I got one more. Headmistress / To Me My X-Men. Similar play. You can double move and pick up the middle one, and then use To Me My X-Men to back up. Right?
Yep.
Because they advance towards her. Yeah.
My super secret deck was Ancient One Steve. I like that was my
Ancient One Steve's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sneaky because I think a lot of people have never played against Ancient One, let alone with Steve,
Right,
so
right.
they don't think that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Parker, you should be ashamed because my next one is Inhumans.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh well,
So-
Well, it's just anyone that's on the Steve list.
Yeah, I'm
just
not gonna.
Inhumans
Yeah,
instead.
I'm not gonna lie. Inhumans has Infinity, but you go ahead.
No, just like you said, there's a bunch of things you can do. My favorite was Crystal and Eyes. So it takes all of your people who used to need 2 power, and you just give them 2 power. So lots of things you can do.
Oh,
with Inhumans.
right.
Yep.
Why Crystal?
Because she moves long. She's the only one of the only long movers you would take in Inhumans.
What is the long move relevant?
Because you can long move. Wow, how did I do this?
Parker's can, because he put her on a fucking medium base.
Yeah.
But normal crystals cannot.
She came with Lockjaw, so of course
It works. Same math. It works with anybody who can place 2 and move medium.
Mhm.
So it's Medusa, not Crystal. You just give Medusa power, then you activate somebody else, then you activate Medusa. She gets a 3rd power, hops, advance, pick up, move back. Or you can just activate Medusa and move somebody else, so then they can go steal, but not on that activation.
Also, if you just activate, if you're playing Lockjaw, right, in any affiliation,
Yeah,
Lockjaw does give you 2. It's a safe
it's not
steal in
on-
2.
Yeah, but it costs 2 They have a ton of ways to do it in 2 activations.
Yes, like infinity ways to do it in 2.
Yeah.
I want to table that.
I don't. Yeah, I'll go. I got one. If you're still thinking. So my next one is kind of similar to Eye on the Prize, only in the fact that it's the similar models that get to do it. Anyone on a medium that has 2 or more power can advance, bump, pick up, advance again in Midnight Suns.
Yep, Midnight Suns works.
Yep.
My next one is Dormammu.
So wait,
Hmm.
there we go.
Dark Dimension, that does
Yep,
open up a bunch
same
too.
thing.
Which is Steve Math, yeah.
Who
Plus
has
1 power?
who in Midnight? Oh, you just put him in Midnight Suns. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so Hela's a good example. So she can advance, bump, pick up, advance back.
Yeah.
Which is about the best use for Hela, is to run away from the enemy.
Well, where's she going to stand? Blade's already fucking
Yeah,
hiding.
exactly. Well, the cool part now, so they have Doctor Strange who can do it, they have Hela who can do it, and they have, what's his name?
Beta Ray Bill?
Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, thank you. I just blanked on his name.
Mhm.
So there's 3 characters. They're all like, well, not Hela, but 2 characters that are very playable that you could run in this. Or like Strange too, even though he's not affiliated. Like, he's not terrible. Like, there's a lot of people that can do it. Basically, anyone who could eye on the prize can bump instead. So it saves you the tactics card, and a lot of those models like Midnight Suns as well.
Do you have to play Strange with a stone? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you would have to take the Soul Stone. But I actually like Strange with the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Because Infinite Power Strange is best Strange. Even though it's 1 point. I'll downgrade, Iron Fist to Wong and just take Soul Stone.
There's another one, actually. If you have 2 activations, Wong can give 1 power to anybody.
Sure, but yeah, I usually in these type situations, on centerline steals, it's super urgent.
You've got to get it right then.
It's almost exclusively priority because it's only on the triples that you have an extra activation, and by not taking it on the first activation, you're basically giving it to them, right?
Mhm.
Is the concept.
Right.
I have an
We're gonna-
honorable mention.
Well, I've got
What's
an-
that, Jeremy?
Honorable mention.
Okay.
Spider foes, traps.
Traps.
You trap that fucking thing. Nobody gets it.
That's not going to count. We can't count that.
Damn it!
So we're
Because
going
it
to attack
doesn't keep your model safe. Yeah.
Inhumans. So a long move small base is barely outside of being able to pick it up regardless. So with Eyes on the Prize, Crystal is able to grab it and back up. And she can do that because of Inhuman's leadership.
Okay, so you're going to burn a power on 2 models and Eye on the Prize to get an objective. Or you could just play a good model.
Yes.
So basically, you just need a long.
Yes,
mover
it's any long
in.
mover. I just said
Yeah,
Crystal
any
because
long
she's
mover.
often in Inhumans. But
But you could do like that wouldn't be a terrible use for Black Widow, for example. That would makes
Or
sense.
Black Cat.
Black Cat. Actually,
Yes.
I actually am in the court that Black Cat stealing things on turn 1 is actually not bad, because then when she dies, she'll just steal it back, right? As opposed to having to work
she's got
hard to
power,
get the steal.
yeah.
Yeah. Unless
Okay.
you're playing her in something that gives her power, very proactively.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later because that's
Yeah.
not relevant. To
Sorry,
what we're
go
doing.
ahead.
2 more.
Okay, go.
1, sibling rivalry, for the same reason Cat and Spider.
Yeah, it seems like a big waste, but technically legit.
Yep. And the last one, Brandon, you should feel bad about this. This is your shtick.
Hold on. Wait, let me think. Safe take that I do.
I didn't say you do it.
Okay, it's just up my alley. Okay, hit me with it.
Heave ho under Magneto.
That's not words that make sense. See, and again, this is why I hate this stuff. It's like, yeah, just throw away all your good stuff and play this garbage, and then you can do one thing that you might have not even mattered anyway.
There's
That's
a
why I hate
reason it
these
was last on
conversations.
my list, but it
I
is
know,
technically a possibility. I mean, obviously,
Wait,
for anyone listening, we went through the good stuff first. But
Wait until next week when I'm going to bury you in the shit that we talked about in the car. I cannot fucking wait for next week. Anyway, Parker, remind me to tell this story for next week.
Deal.
Okay.
what are we doing in the
You're
car
good.
next week?
That's something that happened in the car previously.
Okay.
Anyway. So I think that's going to wrap up our pre-game of safe extractions. There's obviously more that we didn't talk about today, and there's going to be more coming out. These are things that you're going to want to pay attention to if you haven't been already. I know this is pretty basic for some of our more advanced players, but some of our people don't know this, so now they'll know.
Could I add one thing to the thing, which is
No.
it's
Yeah.
funny.
No.
No.
I'm going to add
No.
this one thing.
No.
This one I'm going to add. Do you? I think there are situations in which I purposely take somebody to grab the extract and then back up, and then I look at their list, like they're my opponent's squad, and I went, "Oh, I totally didn't need to," because they're not going to be able to punish me very hard. Do you think you should always plan on, like when you build a squad, you should plan on punishing someone who sits on the center? Because I always do that, and sometimes my opponent obliges me, and I realize I never needed a stealer.
Some of that we'll talk about later, but the answer is and this is one of the things we'll talk about later, you really need to look at your opponent's fucking list. I know so many people that don't even look up when they get to the game table. And it's
Right.
like, you need to know what your opponent is doing, like, to make proper decisions. And so many people don't do that. Like, it's astounding to me when they're just like, we got 18. I played my 18-point list. Apparently my opponent was playing Thanos. I'm just like, ah, like,
Well,
what are you doing?
Well, I guess when I meant squad, I meant literally. Like, I saw that they
I
had
know.
things to punish the center line, and I assumed they were going to play it, so I played my guy who
That,
could
I
easily
think
go
if you're
tank.
making an educated decision to put it in your squad, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not just going, he has this thing that can punish me. It's about knowing when it's going to get played and if the
Mhm.
scenario warrants it. And if,
Right.
like, trying, like, I think it's just sitting down and trying to predict what your opponent's going to play. Like, sometimes I'll sit down and go, like, all right, so if this is 17, what's he playing? And I'll just build his squad in my head and goes, okay, I think that's his best squad at 17. And then I'm building against that sometimes. Like, but not most of the time. Most of the time I don't put the effort in.
And I think this is the reason why, to your point earlier, where you really don't like over-investing your squad into these turn one
Like
grabbers.
scripts, yeah.
Then when you say, like you said, when I'm just going to play my script every time, I'm always playing Angela, for example. Like, I'm just putting
Mhm.
Angela down. It doesn't matter because she can grab something off the center line and come backwards. And if you don't consider what your opponent's going to do, you literally just spent 5 points on a model that could have been any model because they weren't going to punish that. So I think that's something to consider, is that you don't just automatically take the turn one grabber always. That's not the formula,
Yeah.
especially if they're expensive.
I just thought of another combo in Midnight Suns. So let's say you did two mediums in Midnight Suns that were not necessarily 2-power mediums. So like Voodoo, for example, is in their affiliation, but is not a 2-power character. So if you do the standard Moon Knight advanced R&D play, going first, you could give 2 power to other mediums in your list, like Strange and Voodoo, and then you can effectively still threaten getting either one. But you basically just give up priority. So I don't like it, but it's technically possible.
I cannot believe I didn't think of this. I just had a brainwave. Nobody thought of this. Ebony Maw with the Space Stone. He just does it.
So 6-point character gets 4 power, spends 2 to place, advance, pick up, advance.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that works.
In any faction, Ebony Maw with the Space Stone does do that.
Again, if you're spending 6 points in a restricted
I'm not
slot
saying it's
on
good.
picking up an objective, I think
Right.
you have a brain injury. But
Right. But we're trying to plum
you
the
can
corners,
do it.
right?
Yeah, it's better than Hevo.
Yeah, it's better than Hevo.
Actually, I don't know that it is better than Hevo. It actually might be worse than Hevo.
You're not necessarily wrong.
Do you know how happy I would be as if Ebony Maw came up, grabbed it, and then walked backwards away from me? I'm like,
It's
I just fucking won this game.
You're like, I'll tell you what, you can have this one over here too. Just activate Thanos.
Just leave me alone. You guys go over there.
0 kidnappings today. Yeah. Like I'm picturing it in and I'm just like, okay, so hear me out. We're playing Brotherhood with Magneto. I play Cat and the Spider and throw Black Cat into a lamppost to break it. And then now I get a power. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's better than what you just said.
Then you advance R&D that power.
Yeah, and then I play Advanced Art
Yeah.
to give the 3 power on
amazing.
Magneto to the 2 people I've already activated.
Yeah.
This happening.
We said anyway, not good.
Anyway,
ways.
yeah.
Through all means.
Yeah.
At this point, we should just bring up sleight of hand as an actual option at the table. Like, what if you just pick one up your opponent and see it?
Sleight of hand. For not for nothing, but for half a second, I went, "What card is called sleight of hand? What does it feel like?" Yeah,
That's got to be a Gambit card, right?
yeah,
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's going to wrap up that segment. We're moving on. That was fun.
That was fun.
Parker, do you have a comic corner for us?
Oh, I
nope,
do.
Too bad. All right, we'll move on.
Okay.
All right, do your corner.
Okay. I'm really excited because I did my homework actually 2 weeks ago when you told me you wanted to know where Jeff the Shark comes from.
His name is Jeffrey.
Sorry, Jeffrey. Oh, now I have to look it up again. What is the full name?
Jeffrey, first of his name, formerly of Staten Island.
That's right, Jeffrey, first of his name, formerly of Staten Island. His
Say it
first
right.
his first appearance comes from the West Coast Avengers, and so I read the West Coast Avengers reboot, and it was written by I'm trying to find her first name, Kelly Thompson, and it was in 2018. And Stefano Caselli actually penciled it originally, and then he transitions to another artist halfway through it. But I love Stefano Caselli; he does a lot of stuff. But he's very good, a lot of fun to read. So, if you're interested in another, B story, which is totally what it is, Kate Bishop Hawkeye, who is living in LA at the time, decides that they need to have something on the West Coast because supervillains are allowed to run rampant over there, and no one seems to do anything about it because they just get no attention. The East Coast is where every superhero is, and so she decides she's going to do something about it. So she literally has superhero tryouts, a la the scene from Deadpool recruiting X-Force, where she has a bunch of random people come in, and most of them are terrible. But she ends up recruiting Kid Omega for the X-Men. He's the Omega-powered telepath. Of course, she gets Clint to do it because they're good friends. Her boyfriend, who is you find out later he's a Wakandan, but no spoiler, it doesn't really change anything. But he does some cool stuff, but absorbing energies and absorbing basically absorbing man powers is what he has. And America Chavez is in it, and Gwenpool just shows up randomly because the writer likes her and wanted to try her out. And so the reason why she decides to do this at all, like why would she just spontaneously decide to do this? What supervillain shenanigans we're up to? Within her first week of living there, Kate Bishop battles a herd of land sharks. And there's never like a supervillain that pops out and says, aha, my land sharks will wreak havoc while I steal money. Like nothing happens, just a herd of land sharks. And that's the first issue. They disappear. And then you might go, well, when does Jeffrey come into it? Well, it's the very end of the series. You find out in issue 10 who made the land sharks. And of course, who is among them but Jeffrey. And so Gwenpool adopts Jeffrey and refuses to give him up, even though he is absolutely just a baby shark with legs. And so they become bosom buddies and fight crime together. In the last issue, it's a good time. It is definitely a B-roll kind of story with a lot of goofiness, a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. But if you like that era of superhero, you'll like it a lot. If you like some funny villains and some interesting characters. MODOK decides he's going to put on a West Coast face, and he literally makes a new body for himself called BRODOK, which is exactly what it sounds like. He's pretty. instead
Just golden locks.
Yeah, he just says he looks like a surfer boy, but of course he's still talking like MODOK, just in this like teenage surfer boy outfit. He patterns himself as a superhero who wants to join the West Coast Avengers. The best part is he says I am the BRODOK, and he and so immediately they all like turn around and they say he's MODOK, right? It's like yes, of course he's MODOK, and so they just let him like hang out with them because like keep your enemies close, kind of thing. And so he gets to pal around with them for a few issues, but of course he loses it eventually and gets foiled. So it is a really fun. It's a fun one that just explores what is the being in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is all of these superheroes kind of coming together to deal with some supervillains that are trying to wreak havoc where no one is looking. And so it's a good time. If you're a Kate Bishop fan, it also advances her story of what happened to her parents. Why aren't her parents around? What are they doing, and why are they like kind of absent from all of her stories? You find out more about her past. So if you're a Kate Bishop fan, you do learn more about her past and her parents and how she came to be and how they are doing when she's being a superhero.
Alternatively, you could just watch the Hawkeye series.
It has absolutely nothing to do with this, but yeah.
I know.
Complete departure.
Also, I have one point of order about your story that was clearly false.
What's that?
You said when they're doing like the superhero interviews, like in Deadpool, you mean like in Mystery Men.
Yeah, Mystery Men would be a better example. You're correct. Because most of them are like complete duds and silly and ridiculous.
And they're like at a barbecue when they're doing it.
Yeah. Although she is doing it in a room that looks like somebody just drew exactly Deadpool's room from his X-Force interviews. Like it looks exactly that space. Yeah, it's a fun comic. It's supposed to be kind of goofy. If you're a big Gwenpool fan, which I am now, she actually has something really interesting where she tries to use her powers because everybody keeps asking her to use her powers. Like, can't you teleport and do like this reality bending stuff? And she goes, I don't know why, but I can't. Like she like tries to push against the frames of the comics. She's like, I can't feel them. I don't get it. Because they must have just not wanted me to have these powers in here, but I guess it just breaks the story. And everybody's like looks at her like, what are you talking about? Like she looks at it, she's crazy. It's like I just think I've been retconned. I don't think I could do anything in this series. And they're like, what? They don't understand that she's just kind of bemused. She just kind of reconciles to it. And at one point, no spoiler, some goons come out and Kid Omega and her are trapped, and so Kid Omega gets knocked out, and he's like, I don't know what you're gonna do, and he wakes up and she's just covered in blood. She just murdered everyone, just wholesale, just murdered like a dozen people. He's like, why are you killing people? It's like they don't matter. They're just like they're NPCs. Who gives a shit? Because that's her take. Everybody doesn't
They
matter.
don't even have names.
Yeah, they don't even have names, and everybody's like, "You can't just murder people." But that's who she is. She's completely oblivious to stakes because of her character. So it's fun. It's a good read. It's that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's not a heavy comic. It's a nice, fun, lighthearted one.
All right. Cool. Well, that's going to wrap up our episode for today. Hopefully you guys had fun listening to us ramble for quite a bit. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And you just listened to Aaron's 11.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We did.
I found it.
You did?
Found
Look
his
at that.
list.
You found it. Nothing is wrong at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's Coach Klein's special notebook.
Mm-hmm. I'm also excited to get into our do's and don'ts segment that we haven't done yet. Oh, yeah. I forgot we have a new announcement. John's going to love this one.
Oh, it's a good announcement.
It's a good announcement.
There's nothing wrong with it. So, when can we, or are we going to get to talk about Guardians today? Or are we going to wait?
I think we should wait. A lot of people probably haven't seen it yet.
It's better than Eternals.
Are you sure, though?
Spoiler
What if
alert.
it's-
Shit, sorry. Better than
Oh,
Eternals.
fuck. I
Sorry.
forgot I said it was better than Eternals.
Speaking of shits and Eternals, I have had shits that are better than the Eternals.
Whoa.
I mean, that movie was definitely not good, but it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
It
Like,
was.
It was probably better than the Transformers movies I have seen.
I will say that it was not. It was not bad. It was just a complete waste of my time. That was the way
Yeah,
I
it
felt like.
just didn't care about a single thing that happened.
My kids didn't finish it because they quote unquote said it was boring and bad.
Yes.
A Marvel movie with a $300 million CGI budget, that's boring.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, wow. Bold statement.
That's actually that's a direct like point of it, right? The CGI does not equal entertainment. Like you can't.
Didn't
Yeah.
It doesn't-
didn't Jerry
it doesn't work.
Brockheimer figure that out earlier?
And it had good actors, too. Like, the problem was just, like, they didn't bother putting anything into the character development,
yeah.
and you just didn't give a shit about any of them.
The writing and development of the characters was
I
terrible.
mean, to be fair, spoiler alert, they made them as dry and unfeeling as androids, so it
Yeah.
was very realistic.
I guess.
Wait, did we switch topics and start talking about Wakanda Forever?
Hmm.
Wait, it's exactly. Yeah, never mind.
That movie was just bad. Like,
Uh,
Wakanda Forever was worse than Eternals.
Wakanda Takes Forever. That's what it's fucking
Yeah.
called.
You know what Wakanda Forever really was? It was just Pacific Rim 2 with a reskin. It really was. Ironheart's just the girl in the little mech. Like, it's really not great.
If you flip that movie around and then start it with her putting on the fucking Panther suit and just move forward from there, it would have been amazing.
What's the the song about King Kong? Get to the fucking monkey. It's just like the, like you know, one of those, like one of those King Kong remakes, like not the one with Godzilla, but one of the other ones.
You're just like, can we just see Kong now?
Yes, they
Like,
go
I
to
came
the
here to see Kong.
right. They go to that island, and you just see like 2.5 hours of random island bullshit, and then finally King Kong. And there was a song written called "Get to the Fucking Monkey," and it's all just about get to the why are we worried about it? Can't we just get to the fucking monkey? It's pretty funny. And then they talk about other other movies that could have benefited from getting to the fucking monkey. Titanic. Opening scene, we see Titanic. Second scene, iceberg. Drown, Leo. Drown. Roll credits. Pretty funny.
So I've gone back to the Blacklist to finish it because I think I told this on the podcast before, but I thought the show ended in season 8 because there's something that happens that is very final, and I'm like, oh, the show's over, and I took it off my Netflix watch list. So like, as soon as I watched the series finale for show, I take it off my watch list. So I took it off my watch list. Apparently another season came out. I just didn't know because it wasn't on my watch list anymore. That's just like, why is everyone still watching Blacklist? That show ended like 2 years ago. And then I checked, like, wait, there's 10 seasons? And so I'm watching those. Season 9 was probably better than season 8. But season 10 has been pretty good so far.
I look forward to getting back to it.
It's got to be.
It seems like a show that you would watch, that you would like.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling, being like, oh, a good show. I actually enjoy. Wait, they've got 2 more seasons? Oh shit!
Well, it had kind of done the Dexter thing where it kind of lost its identity along the way, and you're just like, you're not really sure what the fuck's going on at this point, but just like they're just throwing shit at the wall, and then like the character focus is switched over to the side characters, but it's really was supposed to just be about this guy, and then they kind of get back to that in season 9 and 10, which is nice.
You said you enjoyed the new Dexter, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
I need to finish that. Like, I only had a few episodes left. I should have finished it.
It was really good. I liked it a lot. It was very true to like what the original show was.
Well, I was definitely watching it going, I think what's going to happen, and then it did happen, and I was kind of like, eh. But it's about halfway through, you know, like, there's a couple things that you kind of saw happening, and
yeah, there's one thing that happens that you're like, okay, this is the entire point of the show, and then there's some other, and then like it starts moving in the direction that you expect.
Yeah,
and then I think there's what Parker would call a good payoff that is worth watching it.
They unload. There's a full release.
Yeah, it just turns into Boondock Saints gunfight scene halfway through the show. And it never stops. It's just 8 episodes of Boondock Saints slow motion gunfight.
So I think most people fall in the category of Boondock Saints is the best movie ever, or the one like me, which is I couldn't finish it because I thought it wasn't anything great. Like I didn't get it.
It's like one of those movies that's just way better than it should have been because it really wasn't worth anything, but it was like it resonated with some people.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty big classic. A lot of people love it.
Oh, people do. I just didn't. I didn't get into it.
The movie would have been it's really funny. This is one of those movies to me. It every single scene with Willem Dafoe like makes the rest of the movie fine because eventually I'll get to another scene with Willem Dafoe. Like everything about his character and how like outrageous his character is so exciting. It makes the rest of the movie like I don't remember any of the rest of the movie. I could not tell you anything that happened except for all of Willem Dafoe's scenes. I can tell you most of his lines. It's amazing. It's one of the weirdest movies that I will watch it. It's a kind of like Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. You're just like the most of the movie I can't remember, but every time he's just like standing there and he gives a one-liner, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. I have to keep watching the movie. Carried on the back by an actor.
In it.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm showing that I disconnected.
No, I can hear you fine.
We hear you.
All right, cool.
Speaking of an ensemble cast, I'm now in season 12 of Always Sunny. The last episode I watched
Ooh.
was one of my new favorites. The gang goes to a water park.
Yes.
I was crying. All of the plots A, B, and C, all of them were fantastic. But the what happens to Frank at the end, I was just weeping tears. It burns. That
I
guy's
love
got
it.
AIDS.
He
That-
pours
that
out the
guy
water
has
bottle. I was like, all right,
AIDS.
you should be good. Like,
Yeah. that guy
Oh,
has
is that when he
AIDS.
goes down the metal slide?
Yeah, he goes down the slide
Oh,
and
God.
slices his back to pieces. And when he hits the water, like blood flows everywhere.
blood
he's
and
gone-
steam.
But he's gone around the park all day long, yelling at everybody, "I have AIDS," to get through the
So
lines
they keep
quickly.
cutting lines.
So
Oh my God.
so everyone in the water park thinks he has AIDS. So as soon as he pops out of the water, everybody goes, "Ah, it's
there's
AIDS!"
just blood everywhere, and it's just like ah! And all the kids start screaming, "It's AIDS blood! It's
and
AIDS blood!" And they're like scattering, and then other people in the pool
Yeah.
are like, "What?" Like
every theme park employee, they're all amazing. And the lifeguard who like sees Frank and he blows the whistle, tweet, out of the water, AIDS.
yeah.
Like he's so disaffected, like he's not excited at all. He doesn't even put his book down. Everybody get out of the water, AIDS. Just like
Yeah. The guy that keeps sending kids down the slide
Yeah.
despite zero human
Zero
beings
kids
ever
coming
coming out of the slide.
he just
It's
keeps
the pool is
Go.
empty down there.
go.
Go. Like they just do not care.
Everything about all that was actually that was a big break from their usual formula, because one of their formulas is that the world is very normal and everyone's trying to do the right thing except for the gang, right?
Mhm.
So this is one of the first times we saw like people in not the gang who are incredibly dysfunctional and also terrible. So this is like, it was kind of a interesting break from the usual formula, because
What about the
they
guy
were
on the
not trying to do
bus?
the right thing.
The guy that just breathes into Dee's face then vomits on himself.
Yeah, they meet like despicable people, right?
Okay.
But I mean,
But like normally the normies are fine.
yeah, and it's specifically usually the people that are doing a job, right? Like
Authority figures.
right,
Like the waiter.
right. Like the waiter
The
is a good
waiter's
example. The lawyer, but everyone behind a desk, right? Everyone on the other side of a desk or a counter, they're always trying to do like the right thing, more or less, and they are flummoxed by, how silly the gang is. And so that one was. I really liked how everybody in the water park just didn't care. Who cares? It was the water park scene. The whole water park was really good. It also has one of my favorite lines that I knew before the show, because it's a meme on the internet, which is, I was trying to go north, but I don't know. I can't really read which way is north. He goes, which way do you think north is? Up.
He just like points up in the air.
Yeah.
Like that
north
wouldn't even work on the map. Like
north is up.
So a bit of a non sequitur. How many reviews or extra like commercials were in front of Guardians of the Galaxy? 27?
no, it was only I don't even
10?
remember that many. I remember like 4 or 5.
Oh no.
Oh no, it was like 7. I want to say previews,
There was
And then,
so
like,
many previews.
and then in a commercial for the sound system promo, then a commercial for the movie theater, then another commercial. I think.
No,
for the movie
yeah,
theater.
BB Theater does that like long
Wow.
like advertisement thing that not a lot of other places do, and that does add several minutes to it.
I was
So
like,
yeah, it
10:30.
feels like a while.
It was like 10:30, and then I drove 30 minutes home. I got home and went to bed at 2 a.m. I was like, this is unnecessary.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a full 3-hour movie.
I don't think it's a full 3-hour movie. I think we were there for 20 minutes of previews. I think that's about right.
Yeah, I think
20
there was like
20
30
to 30
of
minutes,
freaking
yeah.
previews.
Although I'm not.
2 hours and 29 minutes is not 3, but that's a long time for like an action comedy.
That's true. I will say that I'm not. I will gladly take that trade, because of that theater is always so empty. My favorite thing about a theater, not a million people, because as soon as you increase, you reach a critical mass of people, in an opening weekend, you get the laugher. Oh man, I can't stand watching movies with the laugher. You know what I'm talking about? Like that guy who can't stop laughing loud, like a big guffaw laugh at anything that's not funny. Like anything that could draw a
Well,
laugh. Ugh, it
there's
just-
like the twofold though, because there's like the one awkward person laughing that shouldn't be laughing, but then at the same time you get to like Endgame when like the portals open and the whole fucking stadium just goes insane.
yeah, everybody
Like
was clapping.
like that was like an experience that people will remember for decades.
I don't mind if someone wants to like cheer or something. That actually doesn't bug me. It's the giant guffaw laugh.
Mhm.
For some reason, and I will laugh at a movie. But for some
But
reason,
it's more of a snicker.
right.
It's not like a full belly laugh just for
Right.
a long period.
The only time I've ever like fallen out of my chair laughing is when my friend used to work at a movie theater, and he would get me in, to shows before they came out. So it was just like me and 4 friends, and then I laugh like I do, when I'm watching Sunny or by myself. But I don't know what it is. As soon as I'm in a regular movie theater for a regular show, I go, haha, that's funny. I don't. It is something about the environment, being around lots of other people. I don't know. I
It
guess I
sounds
just
like
want
a
them.
you thing.
Yeah, I want them to enjoy it, and I don't want. One of my least favorite things that a movie does is when I am taken out of the movie because of something in my environment. I do not enjoy that. Like, I will not watch a movie with my children that I care to watch, right? I do like it needs to be something that they will also be totally engrossed in. I would never put on a movie, even one that they could watch because there's nothing, gratuitous or graphic in it. I would never put it on in front of them if I wanted to care about watching it, because as soon as they asked me for a snack, I would immediately just be super frustrated by that. I don't want to be pulled out of the movie. I want to be there for the duration.
Well, watching Predator with my 2 8-year-old sons was one of the best things I could have ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
I do not regret a thing.
It drives me nuts when like I get with somebody and we're like, let's watch this thing, and so we put it in and I'm like in full on like focus mode, and then they don't pay attention at all, and it drives me insane.
They pull up their phone.
It's like, yeah, they're like looking at their phone, like having a conversation. I'm like, you're not watching the thing. We sat down to watch this. If you don't want to watch it, turn the fucking thing. Like, why are we?
Yeah,
I get very upset.
Yep, 100% with you.
I think everyone has a plane ticket, but Parker, obviously.
I'm booking mine for next year. That's what I've decided. I've already.
Oh yeah, you've
Yeah.
decided.
No, I've decided. It is happening.
I was unaware that you got to make decisions at all.
No, it is.
Parker,
It is
his 2
happening.
daughters, his wife, and Perrin, because Perrin goes now. He just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
I am not gonna lie. I made this decision like 20 minutes after the team tournament. I was just like, nope,
I told
that's it.
you.
That's it. It's too much. I don't know what it is about playing on a team. It's just too much fun. And
It's so fun.
it was. I had to see it to believe it, and it was one of those things that I was willing to deny forever. Going like, nah, I really like having
Those guys
the
over
control.
there acting like they're having a good time. What a bunch of fakers.
Well, no, it's just about like I had a conversation with my wife about this the other day. We've talked about this in the cast. When I sit down to play a game, I am angling for the win, right? Like I'm the purpose is for me to get a victory. If there is a win condition, I'm excited about getting it. And so there was a part of me that did not want to relinquish some of that control and responsibility to somebody else. But then I actually played in a tournament with it, and it was freeing and actually really fun. It wasn't only solely on me. That was actually really engaging. So it's fun.
It's like going to a restaurant for like the first time with another group of people, and you're just like, why have I been doing this alone the whole time? This is so much better with other people here.
Yeah, I see that.
That, and I mean, there's an incredible amount of people in the world who haven't got to experience playing you. And I think that that's our job as Americans to give you to them.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So,
Because we're tired. We're so tired. Someone needs to. We're gonna actually have to give you to other countries for a while.
I need to go international. You're right. I need to take this show
take this
overseas.
shit on the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then in other languages, we could hear, "God damn it! See,
Yeah.
I told you." It's something Parker something Parker. We're like, yeah, I know. We know.
I have another installment in the great saga of the bathroom sink.
Oh God.
It's leaking again.
Oh boy.
I put a bucket under it, so now it's leaking into a bucket.
So now you have 2 sinks.
Yeah, it's like
You
a
have
second
2
sink.
sinks.
It's almost as good as first sink.
Yeah. Sink adjacent.
How is it possibly still like? That's
I
not
don't- dude.
making
honestly,
2
I
pipes
don't know.
not leak is not.
So the
that
last
tough.
time when like the water came flooding out of the cabinet, it was like obviously something broke. Apparently, one
Yeah.
of the device that holds the drain into the sink, it's just a screw from the opposite sides.
Yep.
And it was over torqued and that broke at some point, and that's why the water was dumping out so badly. So it totally made sense. So that got replaced, and then I used the sink for a while, and it was fine, and then it started leaking again. And so then Bobby came over, he fucked with it, still leaking. But then while he was here, I like picked up the bucket. There's just a little bit of water in it. I'm like, oh yeah. And I like go to dump it in the sink. I'm like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. And so I have to like go over to the toilet and dump it in the toilet. I honestly don't understand. Other than just like being like just faulty drain pipes, I don't know what happened. Like I understand how you none of the joints were leaking. You replace one section, and then those joints aren't leaking. Yet new joints, it's fucked. I don't get it.
At a certain point, surely he says, "Let's, do over," right? Why is he?
Let's just replace all the little plastic pipes.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it again.
But like,
sometimes-
why would that fix it logically? like it didn't fix it last time.
Okay.
You're gonna have some
Like,
sort
they're all
of
brand new
Dr.
pipes.
Seuss
It's-
type scenario going on.
It's just very weird.
Fucking
Yeah.
Tube City under there.
It's like there's like a little person that lives in the bathroom closet that just comes out at night and loosens all the
Loosens
joints.
everything. Over twists it, breaks the tines.
Yes, exactly. Drilling holes. Like, what is going on down there?
Yeah, I wish I could say that that's impossible, but I have a toilet in my house that I have replaced the innards, like the pump and the flap and the chain and the handle, all of it 4 more times than any of the other toilets in my house.
Yeah.
And it's not used 4 more times. It's not even in where the bedrooms are. Like it's used probably 1/4 of the time, but I've
It's
replaced
just like
it 4
a
times as
shitty
much.
toilet, and it's just like it wears out.
Yeah, I cannot explain it. I just have to keep doing it. And when I do, it's fixed for 4 months until another piece falls apart and I have to fix it that one. And so I've told my wife, I was like, I guess I could replace it, but kind of like you said, at some point it's like, it's the ship
Just
it's the ship of Theseus. Is it still the same toilet if I replaced every single piece of it, or is it a new toilet?
Look, that shit created the Grand Canyon and all the cave systems on Earth. So if you think you can control it with a little piece of plastic blue fucking
right.
tape, you lost
You're
your
right.
mind.
You're right.
Good luck.
Exactly. Yeah, the hubris of me to imagine that I could use this to remove my excrement from my house is insane.
You
You
only
shoot
get
your
a
shit in a
moment.
bucket and throw it
Yeah.
out the window.
Yeah. So last night I was talking to some friends, and they said, "Man, I really want to buy a house. I feel like I would just really enjoy buying instead of renting." I say, "You say that, but then, you try to take, about." I don't know what this is, like 400 square feet of forest, and then try to create an encapsulated environment inside and say, no animals, no insects, no air from outside, perfect seal. And then you try to bring in just water and just electricity, and then you try to make sure that all works. And that is actually a lot harder than it sounds. It's a lot harder than it sounds, because entropy is a bitch,
Yeah.
and it's coming for you.
All right. Well, let's get to it. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
And Parker made us start late. Definitely wasn't me.
Hmm.
All right, fine. It was me. Did you get that? So I did this for several reasons. One, it's like Ocean's 11. It's like like a.
I caught that.
Yeah. Okay. But also, it's funny because Aaron likes to play 11 characters in rosters and be like, "No, it's okay. I'm just trying them out." And like,
He also
you
likes to
have
do
more
11
than
Texas
the legal
cards.
amount. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I'm gonna cut it out eventually. I'm like, but you haven't yet. Like, you need to move one of these out. He's like, no, but this way I can like see which ones I want to play. I'm like, We know which ones you're gonna play. The good ones. Like, why is fucking Daredevil here? Like, you're just pretending.
Speaking of Daredevil, I have a wild idea I'm going to try tomorrow on game night. But it includes Daredevil. Is anyone bringing their model collection tomorrow? That I might partake of a model or two if I need some.
I can bring whatever you want.
Okay, let me get deep in this jank tank. Are you ready for this? It's an eclectic list. The only models I don't have with me are Ancient One, Red Guardian, and I'm gonna play the Cable Bill. Cable.
This list is shit.
It's trash.
I'm telling
You're
you.
gonna pay.
happening
You're
is
gonna pay the
shit.
cable bill so hard.
I knew
Not even Nigel plays Cable anymore.
this
Like,
is why
That's
I know.
true.
This is
Oh,
why
do you wanna-
I wanted to
Do you want
mention
to
it
hear
on the
Nigel's
podcast.
take from his 4 rounds at the qualifier?
Uh-huh.
He played a Hellfire Club 3 times, went 1 and 2. He played X-Force once, won his game. So X-Force are 100% win rate,
Mhm.
and Hellfire Club are 33% win rate. It's like that's not what that means.
That's exactly what that means, actually, though.
That is not what that means. So
Thank-
anyway,
Thank you, Aaron, for bringing some models. I'm going to.
You should
I'm
thank
gonna-
me after I've actually brought them and not
He
just
actually
written
remembers to
them
bring
on a
them.
piece of paper. Like, there's
Yes.
a difference. You can
I
thank me for writing
actually-
them down right now.
Thank you
Aaron-
for writing down
Aaron.
models, Aaron.
Aaron, how much do I have to give you for you to not bring the models?
Might happen for free.
Probably $25.
Ooh, that's a high.
Jeremy, I'll split it with you.
I have an idea I want to try. I don't know if it'll be good, but I think it will satisfy me. So we're gonna see how it goes.
Jeremy, I have a question for you if you're not going to split the money with me, though.
Mm,
Which word is always spelled incorrectly?
incorrectly.
Yep.
Fuck you.
You got it. You got it. He was
Oh
ahead of
my
me on
God.
that one, guys. He broke the
I
code.
broke the fourth wall. I finally did it.
All right, I got another one for you.
Mm,
I tried to remarry my ex-wife, but she thought I was only after my money.
but
You like that one?
that was cute.
Because she got your money. In the
Yeah, it's like that's like a snaky in the tail. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't prepared for him to guess incorrectly.
I know.
I was not ready.
I'm tired of you guys arguing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they call it when two vegetarians argue? Is it still
No.
called a beef?
I think it is.
Mm,
But it's extra bad. Maybe
Right.
it's just called a broth. I don't know.
Brandon Morris had some good ones. the
Did you
tournament.
guys play?
Like good jokes or good dad jokes?
Good, just awful.
Oh, he
His-
does
his
have
just-
some really awful jokes.
His are filth, dude. They just
Yeah.
when he says them, I'm like, I can't feel more racist and awful without being that. Like, it just train wrecks you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the good old game store humor where it's just like, where have you guys been for the last 20 years? Like the basement of a frat house. You're like, oh
Oh
god.
God, pretty bad.
I've got a good one. I like this one.
Okay.
It's a good one for springtime. If April showers bring Mayflowers, what do Mayflowers bring? Pilgrims.
I like that one. That's a good one.
When I
Jeremy
was in
doesn't get
second
it.
grade.
You should explain it
I
because
like
Jeremy
that
doesn't get it.
Oh, I get it.
He would, if he got it, he would show reaction and
I'm
not just
tired.
loathing.
Just tired.
One of my ancestors came over on the Mayflower.
Oh yeah,
I don't get it.
yeah. Tell the punchline. Tell the punchline. Aaron, tell the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that gives me a whole new idea for dad jokes. I'll tell dad jokes that have obvious like punchlines,
Mhm.
but like they're also just statements,
Mhm.
and then I'm just gonna like leave it hanging for like minutes.
There's
So-
what's Steve Martin book that I have is full of short stories, and one of the names of the short stories is called "Shuckin' the Jive," and it's the whole thing is it is a full like 4-page story, but every single line is a setup to a punchline that ever happens. It's all it's like just like very specific things that sound like you have to remember it, so there's a punchline later. It's like little Timmy woke up on a Thursday morning and it was exactly 8:32 a.m. He went downstairs and he asked his mom if he could have breakfast, but she said they're missing whole milk, and so he goes out the store. She gives him exactly $4.92. Like the story just like keeps going on and on and on. He just goes to the store.
Shaggy Dog story,
right? He goes to the
but
store,
with-
buys
yeah,
the milk,
setup.
comes back, and that's it. He goes to bed. Like that's it. That's all. Like nothing ever happens. I cried laughing when I read that story. Because also it's a Steve Martin short story book, so every other story is just so silly and surreal, and that one is just straight. It's good stuff.
I read his book Standing Up, which is basically his origin story of like how he got into doing stand up and like his like background in basically the circus,
right?
And his weird shit. I was like, you have had a weird, interesting life.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like 3,000 years old too, so like who knows? Like he might have. So anyone who doesn't understand why we do the dad jokes here, there was a long time ago, back when it was L2 War Game, we were playing War Machine. I randomly found a meme on the internet that was just Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover with these giant can headphones on, like walking through an airport while he's like full like hangover garb, and it was just captioned, "About a month ago, my girlfriend broke up with me because I listened to Linkin Park too much." And then it cuts to the bottom of it, but in the end, it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
And so we would start this thing where, because we're doing a battle report channel, Jeremy would follow me around with like a candid camera from behind people, and I would just tell them that in deadpan. And we would just record people's reactions. It was almost exclusively them attempting to not vomit every single time. It was great. And so that we started posting compilation videos of that. It was great. And so now we tell dad jokes. It's great. Anyway.
I'm for it.
I like it. I think it's fun. I love that just you can hear their thoughts of attempting to like work out how they could stab you and get away with it. Like over the airwaves. I think I said this before we started. Yeah, we got a compliment about last week's episode. People are liking what we're putting down.
Yeah, I'm all for more of those like looking at a point value kind of things, and that was a good. And we were specifically not like in faction, but talking about like out of faction options. That was cool. I like that. That worked.
I like the crunchier stuff we're doing now.
I still think we should each bring like our top three threats you're not bringing but should.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an interesting take to not discuss ahead of time, but have 3 in our minds and then our actual research, and then discuss them on the cast.
Yeah,
and then watch them be all the same.
It's all the same.
I choose Cable.
Cable is the best 3-pointer.
Cable is the Malekith of 3 threats.
Are we just trolling Nigel now? Is that what we do here?
Oh, that was not Nigel who said that. That was who was it that said that? It
Josh.
That's right. It was Josh.
Josh is like Cable's the Malekith of 5-pointers.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He's like, what? Well, it used to be like an inside joke because he was the only 7, but now it's just apparently 7 is the most impossible number to balance, and then 8 is the most possible number to make good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
God help us if they ever make a good 8-pointer. I don't want it.
Oh, I mean, some people count Thanos, but Thanos has been at his most broken was 9, and so it's hard to say. Anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we get out of here? It's getting pretty late. All right, I think Jeremy wants to leave, so we're gonna leave. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.